So we finally reached a space where someone has sworn affidavit to pledge of allegiance. They pledged allegiance to material, or to the author of confusion. I'll say it like that, to the author of confusion, because they're going to challenge the status quo on what is proven and still holds to remain facts solely. So this is more objection. The subjective is arguing the objective, but the subjective is there to create the confusion. Very distorted feminine energy. You're finally putting your coat on after staying too long at the party. So on that basis, in this spirit, you know what I learned? Some people don't hide who they are. We just keep interrupting the evidence with hope. That's all. We keep editing reality while it's happening. Adding music and scenes that ain't got nothing to do with it. Calling confusion depth. Or dressing inconsistency up as complexity. Even dressing emotional unavailability as timing. Then one day, you get tired. Not angry, not bitter, just accurate. And once the accuracy enters the room, attachment starts packing its bags. So now, I observe and then I exit. I stop asking people and clarity, or to clarity, for clarity, what their patterns already confirmed. So that stopped. It kind of it slowed down, or stopped me, paused me from a lot of conversations. It just doesn't need to be had. So in this visual, it's like carrying the image of someone moving between the realms like a courier of unseen truths, carrying messages that don't quite belong to the ordinary, like the mailbox of reality, like more like they arrived stamped with a starlight and intention. When I see the world, the divine messenger, and look at the stars, to give you that visual. Sit with that. If this was your last day alive, what would you do? What would you have done differently? You still could have that chance to do those things differently. This moment is the foundation for all future moments. And open your mind and receive each moment as a new and exciting possibility. If you want to ask why, because you're special. It's the most special you this world is ever going to see. As long as you're following your bliss, you walk your own path, you let your special talents speak for you so everybody can see you in the right light. And every time you use the word but, you learn something new about yourself. Because the but will reveal the limiting belief. It's like a key to unlock the door to your full potential. So don't be afraid. So when I see the world, it isn't solely completion. It's about everything held at once without contradiction. The matter, the mystery, the origin, the return. So if you call it God, for example, like the world, like it has the universe, it's nicknamed the universe in this deck. Then it becomes the idea that nothing is outside divine authorship, including science itself. It feels like a debate of two parties delegating, and how the same is resorting back to the same resource, just from two different avenues. It's like bridging the gap between science and conviction. So it's not science versus spirit, but science inside the spirit. Especially when I see the divine messenger. It's the archetype. The archetype isn't just a message carrier, it's the translation layer. The being moment, or symbol that converts the infinite into something readable, the unseen into a pattern, like the sacred into a timing. So instead of God sends messages versus science explains reality, it becomes God sends reality and different systems translated at different resolutions. The real tension that's being named here is you have the material lens. If it can't be measured, it isn't real. That's somebody who speaks from a tangible space. And you have the mystical lens. What is real is not always measurable. The deeper truth is they're not actually enemies. They're just different instruments. Like science equals the measuring the how. Mysticism, interpreting the why. And then you get the divine messenger of what moves between both without breaking. I feel like you can articulate yourself from multi-dimensions. This would be the science part. The world is speaking in, it's like the world card is speaking in a dual language. A moment where the infinite expresses itself in both observable structure and unobservable meaning at the same time. And the observers must learn to read both without rejecting either. So when a person says, if it doesn't exist, it isn't so, the counterpoint inside your system becomes some things exist as effects before they're understood as causes. A translation, it's like a translator between paradigms. A reminder that reality is layered, not divided. A challenge to both extremes, both the blind faith and the blind materialism. What it simplifies to me is you're learning to read the same sky in two different dialects. Reality occasionally speaks in a way that exceeds its own measurements. So it's like you're being dared to do it bigger. Whatever you felt like was the ceiling, the plateau, do it bigger. Dare to ask for a little bit more, not because it should be bigger, but you're trying to see where your limits are. Sometimes people have a one-dimensional mindset, or maybe their upbringings reflect a one-dimensional mindset. It's like your parents or your forefathers said, we do it like this because they told us to, and we don't argue what they tell us to do out of respect, out of shyness, and that could be a mistake. Hold on, I got a cough. What if I told you you're supposed to be doing way more? Not even what you're supposed to be doing, you're just worth way more than the statues of other people's one-dimensional mindset could ever give you. This is my third module of the 4 chapters I said I would do. And this one is titled, I Observe, Then I Exit. You have the muse of hymns. I feel like this is giving you raw material to write better songs, or you're a songwriter to someone else. I see lattes, like that light brown coffee with some cream in it to make it a lighter brown, and soft pinks. So maybe you sit in your yard or have pink tea roses in your yard, and you just like to sip your coffee. Ultimate material gain. What'd I tell you? Solar feminine. I'll tell you this though. This is a man, no matter what your vision is, he'll make it come true. And y'all could be speaking from 2 different avenues. You're bridging the gap between scientific studies, ultimate material gain, versus ultimate, what did I say? What did I say earlier? Is ultimate spiritual something, like your spirituality versus somebody's ultimate materialism. I like how I said it, but I forgot how I said it. I'll get back to it. But you also have magical child. This is somebody who sees rare gifts in you. They see that you're different. You're as different as, I don't know, you're just different. I can't put the words on it. It's like I said, the unclear is what's unclear, tangibly can be measured. Blind faith, blind materialism. I think that's what I said. All right. You walk in blind faith. This person walks in blind materialism. That's why they got so much of everything. And you got so much faith. You see what I'm saying? You're trying to this person wants to work with you, and they're fixated on you. They really love your femininity. You can switch it around as it resonates too. We're gonna move these over here because I like the messages from these. We'll sit over here. I used to have one of those camera holders where you can zoom down in on the card, you can see it better. I'm gonna reinvest in one of those. I just never bought another one once it got lost in transit from moving. But that's beside the thing, besides the message. This whole thing is, you could be a man, this could be an earth angel. This man, I feel like intuitively, is blinded by constant nagging or grooming or coercing this person as a younger man or a younger child, somebody who's impressionable. This person see themselves in you. They see that you have the same similar gifts. Like they see that this was that very impressionable young child who doesn't make their life experiences another, say, a love song. But anything is it makes for great material. And the way you preach your gospel, which is ethnic for saying your truth, you speak in rigorous honesty. This person, you have this person's attention, okay? Because this person knows what to do with you because they are rare, like quality, just like you. So, and your femininity match his masculinity. So you see how she's looking back at him and he's looking at her. Or if you were a person who fixates on reflection, like you could be a daydreamer, for example. It's like verse 7 of Cups. But the ultimate message gave me 4 of Wands. Not in a way that's graduatory. Maybe you are graduating, but marriage too, but to some essence, but more so stabilizing your inspiration. This person sees you as an inspiration in their rawest form, in its humane form. So the ultimate thing to do would be to materialize what they know to be spiritually true. If you follow me. Likewise, this person's forefathers, maybe even your forefathers too, you're not trauma bonded. You ultimately had to reach a space of growth and expansion to reflect on where you've been, how you can take that and use it as tools so you're not so out of place, like bringing home ec tools to geometry class, but the two can exist. You see what I'm saying? It could be a geographical difference. So it's like it doesn't matter that you come from one continent, I came from the next. You're like-spirited. And this person's forefathers taught him how to tangibilize what his vivid imagination. They could have written it off like a vivid imagination, but you could still be a visionary and still have that imagination, but you're not just sitting there ungrounded in your creativity. This person materializes. This person's really good with materializing things. This person's really good. They have the professional art eye where they can spot a talent and want to work with it. It's given Joe Jackson, not in a derogatory sense in how the public could paint him, but what he did with his children. He spotted a talent and he didn't just let it be kids being kids. What he did was he saw himself in the form of his kids and he made them global success. This is a man, like real King of Wands energy, who is grounding what he know to be spiritually true into something big. So you two coming to work together could create a higher status in society. Because even looking at the world card, you're actually stepping out of the gutter and going into somewhere globally successful. And I guess you have nobody else to thank but God for how you cross each other's paths. It's something that you were taught via lessons through people, places, and things, where you two catch on quick. This is two people who I see you can sing. So why wouldn't I invest in your future? This is somebody who speaks from the heart, who loves very deeply and intently, and they're fixated. It just says just their nature to be fixated. Something you said proved to be a bridge in the gap between scientific studies and blind faith. Blind materialism versus blind faith. But they're not enemies to each other. They both exist in the same space. They both exist in the same sentence. They're just two different dialogues that are expressing the same truth. I feel like I want to take like 1 or 2 more cards from this deck before I go to the next deck. You may think this person is coming to you because they think that they can get something from you, but even intuitively speaking, you know when you have something real in your corner, like you're a mystic. Like even God's messengers who he sent to deliver his sermon, all of them are mystic because they're walking by faith. This could be somebody having a conversation with more materialistic or tangible, like-minded people who can relate to the materialism, the ultimate success by way of materialism. This is you teaching it from a different dialect. Like, as an author behind the grammar of scientific studies prove that, and that's what I come to represent. That without that author, none of this would be possible. So this is somebody who's learning humility, and you got the muse of history, someone who loves to learn. He learns something new from you every day. Somebody who talks, who can seduce somebody through verbal conversation, through history, through facts. You just point out where the hypocrisy is, where it's been tampered with, and verify the truth. See, look on the bottom, it says reflection. He has a professional eye for what he sees in you. It's easy to spot it because it's in that person too. Even a parental figure who worked to make sure their children have everything they want, they can see that they have a gifted child. Muse of eloquence is it's your wordplay. I'm trying to tell you something. The way you are seducing this person without even realizing it with your eloquent speech about anything. You could talk about anything and it sounds otherworldly. It sounds extraordinary, and you're not gaslighting. You're not using the gift of gab. You're just being yourself. That's the whole kicker. Look, on the bottom now, heart of a lion. This person knows they met their match. It's like I see you, a lot of you in me. You're not giving up on what you stand for. I wouldn't either. You kind of inspiring. When I say 4 of Wands, the inspirational side of it, you're stabilizing. It's like you need that earth element. You see how there's 4 elements. Earth, this is giving fire. Like fire and earth are very, very similar by way of ultimate material gain. Spiritual as well with the fire element. Water and earth are 2 different avenues, but the emotions tied with the mental. And this is what this person's giving. Like you blow this person's mind and you emotionally captivate them with your intellect. It's emotional intelligence. And the other side of it is the fire and the earth are not together in this premonition. But the water and the air is eerily similar, even though they're 2 different avenues. You put things together. It's where you speak with love. It's like love is your component. It's like your Superman, your power. Okay, you're representing how that looks, where the effects are there without the causes being verified. Right? So now you got 2. You could be 2 firecrackers You don't have to be fire signs, but you're two firecrackers, even if you are fire signs. If you look at your birth chart, you got some of a little bit of everything, or some of some things and not so much of others. So you don't always operate from your sun sign. But this person sees that as a woman. First, this is where you're emotionally intelligent, because you're still feminine. You're still feminine about it, but you're taking accountability in a way where you're not afraid to tell the truth, show the truth, embody the truth, live in the truth, teach the truth, point out the flaws in the whole plan and the whole systematic approach in the government. That would be like a Hierophant energy, somebody who's a hierarchy, and they take leadership and they take accountability. So you're balanced, and it's like you may not have always been in your feminine energy because you always had to be in survival mode. So you could have obtained a lot of material gain yourself, so you know what that looks like. You're not afraid of it. This person know what it's like to have been moved away from. I feel like this person was ushered away from the unseen to tangibilize more for himself. Could be like an intention to, I'm gonna get right back to it. I just got to get out of this trap, this abyss, this black hole with no bottom to it, to help myself, to save myself from Satan's power. Satan is a jinn. A jinn is made from fire. You can't see him, but you can energetically feel him. You see what I'm saying? So it's like the intention is to come back now that you got yourself out of it. This person, blind faith and blind materialism meets in the middle, two dialects. So if you have a raw passion for each other and what you say you're all about, and still grounded, you're teaching each other how to ground what's beautiful, what's so beautiful, what's so pure about you. And you got that Queen of Cups, Queen of Roses. I said I saw a pink. You see what I'm saying? You could have very easily victimized out and made it a tragedy as to why you can't do, which is not true. I feel like you speak positive over your own life with the muse of hymns. You make a melody out of the things you need to keep reminding yourself when the devil gets busy and decide to want to distract people and tamper with evidence that proves to be factual even with the tampered evidence. So someone could have been curious to know, for you two to come to speak from two different dialects, how is this even possible that I'm so bonded or so familiar and connected with this other person and we're not articulating what we both see to be true? Again, the irony is blind faith. You're walking by faith. You're tangibalizing what's blind faith. You can't see the causes yet, but you feel the effects of it. Someone wants to go look to the stars. It's like you could be a master of astrology or somebody who just can speak from a scientific space and still be convicted at the same time. Abundance planning. This kind of matched that muse of hymns. First of all, you want to start with writing things down. Every time you get a creative idea or a spark or a thought, you write it down. And what's on the bottom? It's like cracked open is happening for you, not to you. So someone could be saying to themselves like, do they see what I see? Do they realize that we are more alike than we are different? Share your voice. So someone could have been operating from a space of raw passion, and someone is operating from a space of raw emotion. Come out of the cave. Persecution expressions could be somebody's going to come speak their heart to you. And again, the bottom is a connect with earth. If you connect with this person, it's giving me water and earth energy, because they two balance each other out. They could either cancel each other out or balance each other out, because you got to think, pardon me, reality occasionally speaks in a way that it exceeds its own measurements. So you're when you realize that, it'll either soften the both of you or harden the both of you. Clearly, it's your strong influence over this ultimate material gain. This person who knows the tangible life, who has tangibleized a lot of what they saw to be true, probably in their premonition with connect with the earth. They can show you too. They are in support of you too. They will build that friendship with you. I feel like you're going to sit down one day and have a very intimate conversation and start talking about what's law, what's real. That's the Ace of Pentacles. Can we stop right there? Can we stop right there? You know what you're good at. The Ace is that, what that say? Number 1, abundance planning. The Ace of Pentacles, that says number 1 right there. I feel like a lot of your wealth is connected to each other, and because you remain faithful, even if it took a while, it could take some years, but you have it because you understood the message. Damn. On the bottom, 4 cups. Luxury of sitting there doing nothing. This could be taken out of context. With reaching a space of ultimate material gain, you could have woke this person up. They could have the luxury of not doing much. They could have this luxury, but like I said, going back to that 4 of Wands, you gave them inspiration to do more. Because what they know to be true is still a spiritual element. It's still something about myself. Nobody quite knows how to water this part of me. And they see that in you. You can even be a dark feminine, or a feminine who operates from her darker side, her shadow side. But y'all could be the mother and father of the best of those who ever did this, whoever operated like this. This person sees nothing but friendship, laughter, and exposure. Exposure of, they see you. It's like they feel seen by you. King of Pentacles, the day trader. I'm telling you. And the Page of Swords. It's something you do with your voice. You seduce them with your voice. The activist. You see how she has that bullhorn in her hand? If you can see it in the picture. She has a bullhorn in her hand. And she has papers flying. That looks like papers. Maybe that's not papers. But she speaks to people whose spirit have been shattered and needs to be repaired. So somebody shattered the idea of this person right here. Could have come from a rougher childhood, and they shattered the idea that this person would ever be successful. Maybe it's a lack of mother figure or a mother figure, or just they were told that this will not get you anywhere. So that he tangibleized what he knew to be true, even through the memoirs of a broken spirit. You see the broken glass behind her? You could have grew up in a big city, in the rougher parts of a big city. Whereas this person is not afraid to stand up for themselves and others. This person is not afraid to share his or her voice. You see? And I said it's giving balance. Look, this person has the hots for you, but it's not about them having sexual attraction or the hots for you. It's about the reality of they observed and they exited. They really what they're doing is putting their coat on. Because after having been at that, they attended a party that doesn't quite express them, so it's not celebrating them for who they authentically are. And they're putting their coat on and leaving that party because they were there too long. It's like, what have I been doing with my life? It's like you woke something up to them. You speak to that inner child in them because you have that same inner child. You know how to take care of them, just like they know how to take care of you. Oh my goodness. I feel like you're on fire. And now what it is the water and the earth energy, I said, that balance each other. Balancing the emotions and the intellect. The emotions and the intellect. Emotionally intelligent. This person could read a lot more about you than you actually told them, and vice versa. It makes a lot of sense. But likewise, like I'm saying, you don't want to be too in your head, too emotional, and this person doesn't want to be too passionate where, like, how can we ground it? They're reflecting. There's an opportunity to tangibilize something, to show your strength, show what you're made of. That's what this person is being an advocate of the unseen, of the blind faith. In other words, somebody supports you 1000%. It's not very many people who support you for being you. So if you're a person who reads and give illustrations like this from a space that's not demonic, that is not manipulative, that's not the art of persuasion, it's not the one, you're not the one who disrespects what's the law convictionally, spiritually. You're also not the one who disrespects it being tangibleized. You just didn't have a partner. You was doing this for a long time by yourself. Now you have a partner. That's both of y'all. And it makes this person think or ask themselves. They're reflecting to themselves. If this were your last day alive, what would you have done differently? And I feel like the person is saying, if I do anything different, it could threaten the reality of me never crossing paths with this person. So I don't think I would have done anything differently because I understand the wisdom behind how it shaped my character. So that moment would definitely be the foundation for all future moments. To open your mind and receiving each moment with new and exciting possibilities. Six of Swords. Science. It says science on there. Both of you mend broken heart, have mended your broken heart, broken spirit, broken mindset. They couldn't break your mind. As reptilian as this looks, this got 3 swords this way, 3 swords this way. And both of you, without meaning to come in and be a caregiver or anything like that, you both come in naturally. It's your natural aura to be able to help people get out of dark spaces. So, science. You got science and God in the same sentence. You recognize the unseen in the science. Now, science measures things by way of what's researched, proven, and can be tested and to be reproduced. So it's not dismissing the blind faith of it all. So this person managed to put themselves back together and made a lot for themselves. Wow. This is the 10 of Swords, ruin. And the 10 of Pentacles right behind it. This person got wealth. They don't look like it though on a storefront, but they're not supposed to. You have wealth and you don't look like it from the storefront. You don't look like you could do much of anything except be modest, you know, and speak things that are valuable, but to a person who is overly materialistic, they would pass you by without knowing what to do with a resource like you. This person's different. You see what I'm saying? And that's the Swords and the Pentacles, which can create a very stoic presentation. For somebody who came from nothing, or came from nothing, your parents could have been abusing substance, so it forced you to go through life or see life from its grittier, harsher sense, and now you're in the 10 of Pentacles because you understand the message. Oh, I love this reading for you. Now from the bottom, you got the Seducer, the Knight of Cups. This could also mean be careful that if you're already successful and you're meeting someone you really like, be careful that they don't seduce you into a world that you don't resonate with, and it ruins your financial wealth. And that could have been somebody's story as well. That's why the broken glasses behind that Page of Pentacles is like, my spiritual gifts was not properly nurtured. I didn't grow up in a setting where they could be properly nurtured. And I grew up to be a very modest person almost sheltering myself. And then I got into a world that was unfamiliar, but it challenged the status quo. But if I didn't go out there and challenge the status quo, I couldn't have gotten caught. I wouldn't have gotten caught up. But it helped me cross paths with many people who are like me, like-minded, like-spirited, like me. You see what I'm saying? It reminded me that you're still a special person. You're the most special you the world is ever going to get. Has this pedigree background, has this pedigree future because of such a pedigree background. You see what I'm saying? You have to have a touch of madness to go big like that or go home. To go global success, then go home. So it's like all the challenges that a person went through could have been through your adolescence or as a young adult. At any point you had major trials like this, even if it's not exactly the substance right here, but you could have lost out on that cookie cutter, stable, proud family dynamic because this was in the mix and it ran through all the wealth. Now, wealth is a broad interpretation. If you're following this reading, is more than just ultimate material gain. It's very spiritual as well. You always want to water that garden for that inner child. You always want to nurture that inner child, but you also have to be spiritually wealthy to see more astronomical success. That could be for darker or for lighter, or a plethora of both. And finally, the moon, finally. Someone is so mysterious that they're often perceived as something they don't have no business doing. But when you sit and hermit and reflect, this is intuitive, this is many layers that justifies, I don't want to say justify, but this person has many layers to them. They have a lot to talk about. They like be a money machine during the day and something else at night. This person has brush-ins with the darker side of the darker realms of life, as well as the lighter side. They have to straighten their act up to even cross paths with you. And is more than what meets the eye. And what's on the bottom? The Chariot. The star is underneath it too, but let's talk about the Chariot. How does Old Faithful, because the Chariot is moving by faith and not by sight, right? How the hell does Old Faithful tangibilize all of what they know to be true? How do I move forward with that Six of Swords right there? How do I follow my intuition, my inner moral compass by faith, is knowing I can manipulate something to get that ultimate material gain? This person could have came from an ancestry of darker arts, and they practiced it too once in their life. Or you could descend from people who will protect their family by any means necessary, but the backlash of it kind of messed up unique generations of it. Like it could have messed the backlash of it is ultimately you won't be successful. You won't tap into the blind faith, and you'll ruin the blind materialism through the spiritual attacks, the spiritual warfare. You see what I'm saying? You put that in the mix. That will turn this to this real quick. So now this person is like, how do I... They figured it out. It wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy road to get there. I want to fix my evil ways. This is what this sounds like. They had to learn how to water this talent they got in a way that doesn't harm themselves, their future generations, or offend their past generations, their ancestors, their forefathers, and things like that. And then there's you. Oh shit. I mean, I didn't mean to leave this down, but look at that. She's a costume designer. And the star. The star was what was on the bottom, but this was on the... I forgot, this didn't pick up with the rest of the deck. Now, the star Then there's you. You see the broken city, the broken spirit, this city, this environment that was created in this big city space, which separates light from dark, somebody's bigger agenda. This person bypassed a lot of this shit. This doesn't even penetrate this person. It doesn't penetrate this solar feminine. But she knows how to mother it. She knows how to mother herself through it. So she can persevere through a lot that don't make a lot of sense on the surface. Cruelty. This person wanted you to give up this family dynamic or whatever environment some people grew up in. They wanted you to give up on your dreams and not have peace. Somebody wanted you out of here. You see, that says cruelty with the Nine of Swords. Somebody cruelly tried to destroy you, and you did it anyway. I'm trying to show all the cards so you get the visual. You did it anyway. So you have a lot to talk about with this person too. And then you got Seven of Pentacles. Someone ruined their own life. They sent themselves off trying to get on top of you. And this is where they got defeated. They took a chance. They jumped out there without no facts. They jumped out there in sincere naivety, and the house always wins. The house always wins. You see the gambling board? The Five of Swords defeats. Took a chance. The fool. They were a fool. Trying to make a fool out of you or perform salacious, foolish acts against you. And now you're talking about it, and they have no resources to stop you because they garnish their own wages attacking you. They don't have to use substance. The substance was and is sometimes, where's that moon card? Sometimes it's the unseen. It's manipulating the unseen. And now you're talking about it, and now they can't do nothing about it because they're muted. They're very muted because nobody's supposed to know they're doing this shit anyway. So for you to pick up on it, and speak on it and move a certain way accordingly, they couldn't break you. They couldn't penetrate your mind or your heart. They don't have your heart. They couldn't blow your mind or change your mind to change your life for the worse. And now you're talking about it. They couldn't do it. They couldn't have you like this. No, that child is protected. That child is protected. You still have that childlike innocence in all your creative endeavors. So now they feel defeated. So whatever the foundation you two could have come from is like the house always wins. Not this time. Okay? The house got defeated. The house got burned down. Okay? All that happened for you, not to you. So now they left sitting there and sitting in poor taste. Poor anything. No wealth. They gave up their wealth. They put all their wealth in it because they were guaranteed a win. By who? You dig what I'm saying? They got defeated. Who can promise you what they didn't give you? Who can promise you success against something they didn't give you? And what's on the bottom of this deck? What that say right there? The devil. Ooh. Yeah, that was in poor taste. They're sitting in poor everything. In poor taste. Sitting in poor taste literally. From a mental space, emotional space, playing with jinns space, so spiritual. And tangibly, they have nothing to show for it. They reap what they sow. That's Seven of Pentacles. It's a failure. It's a dud. Okay? These are all the things you and this person bypassed. They tried to stop you from crossing paths with your success. I'm going to keep saying it. Because that is what made you a star. That's also going to attract you. You could be this on your own talent and still met somebody who's just like you. You like it, I love it, right? And you notice the same people who was trying to convince you, take the ordinary route, you know, so you don't be so abundant by yourself. You can't do all, something about you doing it on your own 2 feet threatens people because they don't have the resources. Like they don't have your mind for big business. They don't have your heart of gold. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a lot of things. You don't have those negative, that you don't have that edge to want to gamble with your life, to have somebody else singing victimized lyrics against their own self. You don't have that curse in the tongue, but you have free will like everybody else. And you didn't have to claim that. You didn't have to own that. And you made it big doing it the other way. So you challenge the status quo by breaking those generational curses, using something that's natural for you. It can't be tampered, and it's not tampered with behind this. Somebody who looks good on the surface, or look a certain way on the surface, but really is attacking somebody who has this gift. They try to steal your gift using external validation. If it resonates, it's like, again, I observed, then I exited. So you stop being a family dynamic with all your enemies. The house always wins tells me that you answered the message. You took a leap of faith. You answered it. And of all the things, the world card, of all the things that was meant to set you back, was designed to set you back, was divine orchestration. To flex the fact that you're very special, the most special you the world is going to see, and you were the last to act on it in a way that is egregious, nefarious in spirit, or anything, or just loud and obnoxious. You were humbled at a very young age, and you're humbled as a consenting adult, something like that. But it wasn't easy to reconnect with your wealth. What was attempted to destroy you pushed you in a more accelerated space. You just didn't see it that way for the longest of time. If it resonates, like, share, subscribe.